Welcome to Stress Release Yoga. Let's take a nice full breath. Always so much stress to release out with our breath. All right, so today we're going to practice in a chair, and I have a Pilates ball here. This one's slow-mo brand. So you can use these. These are great to just keep in your office or by your chair, wherever you're working. So you can lean into it, which gives you a nice little back bend shape. Can help you work on pulling those shoulders back. And you can also make a nice little massage. So it's great really any time of day. And then in my chair yoga classes, I often like to do these at the end. So we're getting a little back massage at the end. But you can also use it between your knees or between the feet. And so that can just be a great little, you know, sort of, it's almost like a little, what do they call it, fidget spinning kind of thing, you know, a little bit of motion during your day, just to kind of break things up a little bit, right? Theoretically, you could be typing and kicking your legs underneath the desk. I'm gonna try to put that down to the side and hope it doesn't roll away. And then if you have a couple of weights, so another nice thing just to have by your chair. So not necessary, but if you happen to have them, it can be a great way, I think, to release a little stress and tension out of the back and the shoulders. Just a nice little lightweight coming up and down. And again, you can do a little dumbbell between your feet and do a little lifting up and down that way, a little core work in there. All right, so if you have those props, or maybe you want to think about them, keeping them next to your desk. If you have those, you can grab them. Then we're just going to start, as usual, by settling in a bit. All right, I got cold hands again. So taking note of how you are. So if something's a little bit uncomfortable, like my fingers are too cold, I'm going to try to warm them up a little bit. Or maybe that your shoulders need to wiggle around a little bit, or that your chin needs to drop forward a bit. And then just coming back to a little bit of a centered space. And see if you can let your arms drop down. Maybe just your arms of your chair. So either hands on your legs or arms resting on the arms of your chair. Just a few nice deep breaths. Observing where there's tension in the body. And when you observe those spots, so my right eye is chronically tight. And also shoulder, a lot of them are right side for me. So when you notice those spots, see if you can work on getting that tension, that tightness to release out with your exhales. Wherever those 10 spots may be for you. And set an intention to take care of yourself today. And then we're going to take a nice deep breath. So letting the chin gently drop down towards the chest. So if it's tight, it can just be a little bit of a tilt forward. And then we're going to let the head gently come back up and reach your arms up overhead. So you do have to make sure you don't bang into the arms of your chair here. You're in an office chair. Just reaching your arms up and then let them come on down. And we're going to let them come up again. Okay, so let's try it with weights if you have them. So if you don't have weights, you can try just tensing up your arm muscles. So we're just going to try to inhale and bring arms up overhead, abdomen in, and observe how it's different now if you have weights. up and down a couple of times. So it may make you pay a little more attention. Okay, let's bend elbows. To how you're moving, to how you're holding your body. So when we put this little bit, and I have 3-pound weights here, when you put just this little bit of weight into the arms, you may have to be a little more conscious about how you're holding and moving the body. So again, if you don't have weights, just arms coming up and down, pay attention, elbows coming down, shoulder blades coming down. All right, now we're gonna drop these to the side again. We'll probably do a little more when we stand. Let's do wrists. So we're gonna rotate the wrists around. And even a little bit of massage is often one of my favorite things. Is just, doesn't have to be anything fancy, just taking the palm of your hand or the fingers and a little bit of rubbing of the arms. It's always fascinating to me how it's such a simple thing but we don't normally do this during our day. Just to give a little rub over the arms, shifting the energy that's in there, checking out all my bruises, wondering where they came from. All right, and then coming into the wrists a little bit more, so maybe a little firmer, with your fingertips on the wrists, going back and forth from side to side, and coming down into your hands. And again, maybe a little rubbing of the palms together. And then we can interlace fingers, and you're just kind of doing like a little swishing, just kind of a little moving around of the fingers, massaging out the fingers. And then we're going to turn the palms out, giving that little pressure out, stretching the fingers. And then let them release, wiggle them. Good. Okay, so let's do legs. So again, if you don't have weights or a ball, just gonna do your legs up and down. Let's just circle ankles first. So we're gonna bring our feet up, we're gonna circle ankles. So this is another great thing to do during your day, just to move your ankles around. And breathing. Notice how your arms feel now, like mine feel like they woke up a little bit. All right, now we're gonna take the ball and we're gonna place it. So again, if you don't have anything, you can really use anything. You could use a yoga block here. It could be a little dumbbell. We're just gonna try to bring the feet up. So if you don't have anything, that's fine. If you have something, then you're gonna try to really engage the legs squeezing that ball. So it's really hard to put much pressure, I find, into the ball, so it makes your legs actually work. And then you come up and down. So any knee trouble, just hang out, hold the ball, lift your spine up, pull the belly in. Breathing. And I usually play this by ear, so whatever you're feeling. When we start working with props, sometimes we can get into like counting a certain number of repetitions. But with yoga, we're working on that, witnessing how we're doing. So I tend to do it more by feel. Like if I'm doing, bicep curls with little dumbbells, I don't usually count. I usually just kind of pay attention to how does that feel. Try to pay attention to the movement. All right, so if you have a ball, bring it up between the knees. You're gonna try to crush it. So again, this could be a yoga block. If you don't have a prop, you can just take your hands and push again. So you're getting that resistance. So you're pushing your knees inward and you're pushing your hands outward. And then you can still try to do feet up and down. A little more work there if you're using your arms. So now your arms are working. That's a little more coordination to try to engage, right? A little more effort sort of mentally to try to keep the legs and the arms engaged at the same time, and then have your feet move. And then we can relax, take a breath. All right, so let's do legs outward too. We'll just put a little pressure. So if you have the ball, you can let it go. We're gonna put hands to the outside of the legs. We're gonna press legs and hands into one another. Breathing. Okay, I don't usually, yeah, I think it's too awkward to try to bring feet up that way. Okay, so we're just gonna try to press, legs out, hands pushing in, breathing. And then we're gonna relax, and we're just gonna give like a little massage to the legs. So it can be rubbing your thighs. It could be like a little bit of patting of the legs. And then you can do the same thing with your lower legs. So it's a great way just to kind of revitalize yourself during the day when you start to feel sleepy, is to just do this, you know, rubbing, patting of arms and legs. It does actually get the circulation going a little bit. Like patting the lower legs so much. Patting upper legs works a little bit nicer for me. All right, good. And then we're gonna wiggle our shoulders a little bit. And let's stretch the hips. So really important one to do during the day. This chair's a little bit too high. It's not my chair, and I don't really know how it works, so I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm just gonna scooch a little bit forward so that I can have my left foot firmly on the floor, right ankle on top of the left thigh. If the knee's not happy this way, try crossing knees and then leaning in. But if you can do ankle, and then we're just gonna lean forward. You want that foot to be firmly on the floor, and again, this is where you don't want your chair rolling out from underneath you as you lean forward. Sometimes they'll fly backward, so that's why I'm up against the wall. I'm just gonna lean forward, try to get a little release in the hip and the low back. And you might find that leaning a little bit to one side or the other feels good. Yeah, that feels good today. So you can play around a little bit with how you got the torso positioned. Whew. All right, we're gonna come on up. We're gonna kick the leg out. We're gonna take the foot around a little bit. And then changing sides. So now your right foot's firmly on the floor. So left ankle or left knee on top of that right thigh. And again, we're just gonna try to lean forward a little bit. How does this side feel? Come on up, we're gonna kick this leg out. We're gonna take your foot around a little bit. And then we're gonna have both feet on the floor, and we're just gonna lean forward. Hands on both thighs, let your back lengthen. Breathe. And then come on up. We're gonna do a little seated cat and dog. So I'm gonna scooch back in my chair. So let me come back up against the wall here. All right, just coming all the way back in your chair. We're gonna try to push the low back into the chair. I'm feeling the shape of this chair is a little bit different than what I usually do this in. So just do your best. It's not easy to push my low back into this chair. So you're just gonna do your best to kind of round, let your spine round forward. Maybe let your hands come together, shoulders coming forward. So we're rounding the spine. And then I usually start to bring my hands backward along the thigh as I come into that dog pose. So we're pushing the spine forward, trying to pull the shoulder blades backward. And then we're gonna take it back into cat and trying to push your low back into the chair, letting the spine round. So if you really try to bring your hands forward, you may feel that you can get into the shoulder area there. And then we're gonna come back up. So again, hands can slide backward on your legs. We're gonna try to push the spine forward, pull the shoulders back. Breathe. And then we're gonna relax. So again, depending on your chair, You might be able to grab the back of your chair and lean forward a bit, stretching your shoulders. That's another good one, just, while you're sitting at your desk. Get a little deeper into the shoulders. All right, so back to center. We're gonna take a breath. Feel like a kid whose feet don't quite reach the floor here. So that could be a nice little change too. Like, it's not great to sit this way all day, but just have enough space to bring your feet up and just let them hang out a little bit. So again, just a little bit of motion, helpful for brains and just staying awake. And then let's do right hand over to the left shoulder. We're gonna grab hold of the upper arm and we're just gonna pull this right upper arm across the chest. Lengthen up your spine. And then we're gonna take arms out wide. Nice big stretch out. Rotate your wrists. Cracking. And then we're going to bring left hand over to the right shoulder and try to pull this left upper arm across the chest. Breathing. Just trying to soften any tightness that you're feeling. And then arms out wide again, big stretch out. And circle the wrists. Beautiful. Let's let the hands come down, take a breath. And we're gonna do a twist here. We're gonna stand up in a minute. So again, my chair's a little too high, so I'm gonna come forward. I can have my feet firmly on the ground and just turn to your right side. So I'm using the arm of the chair to help me take that right shoulder backward a little bit more. Left hand's coming to the outside of my right leg. Spine lifts up, abdomen softens. So you're really turning the upper body, right? The knees are still pointing forward. And then we're gonna come back to center. A lot of times people have a hard time in the twist, so they'll start to turn their body. So just, whatever little bit is working for you. It doesn't have to be a big turn. Just try to turn that upper body a bit as we go to the left. Here we go, I'm gonna readjust myself. All right, so we're gonna turn, starting to do the same thing. I was turning my whole body to the left. All right, turning to your left side. Right hand coming to the outside of the left leg. Breathing. And then back to center, take a breath. Yeah, we can do this kind of marching in the chair, where you've got your hands up, your elbows are down. You usually have to sit a little bit forward on the chair for this, so again, make sure you're not sliding out, and you're just trying to bring your knees up. So really it's like marching. You can do the legs straight, you can let your heels come down, so you can try changing that, see how that feels for you. So I can feel myself, right, I'm starting to sink. I'm gonna lift myself back up. And then I think I'm gonna come back to bend knees. I think I'm able to keep my spine a little more upright that way. So see what works for you, and then notice what you're feeling. So as you're lifting up and you're taking those elbows backward, upper back's working, and then your abdomen's working to bring those knees up. So you can get a little cardio right in your chair. So again, just a good way to move a little bit. So you're moving the hip joints, you're working the legs, you're working the back, right? You're making those shoulder muscles pull backward instead of our normal rounding forward. You're working a little bit of core. You're getting a little more oxygen. So another great way to wake yourself up in the middle of the day. So I know when I sit for too long and I'm staring at my computer and my brain just starts to go, woo, no. All right, so here we go. We're gonna stand up. Let's do a little more work with the legs. I'm gonna try not to trip myself. You can always use your chair to help with balance. So again, you want to make sure it's not going to roll out from underneath you. I would stand, right? If I were going to do it, I would be here with chair against the wall. But I'm going to turn sideways here. I'm going to hope the chair doesn't roll out too far from, oh, I should change the chairs. Here we go, there's another chair here. I'm going to grab one that's not going to roll away on me. All right, so hanging on to your chair, we're going to do legs out to the side. So we did some of that inner leg work, squeezing the ball in, or squeezing, towards the hands. So we're going to try to do outer leg. You can always work on just lengthening that leg out and letting it hang out to the side. You can pull your spine up, you can balance, you can do arms up, or you can try to do a little movement back and forth. So again, having your chair here just in case you start to lose your balance. And then this is another one where I tend not to count. I just kind of feel what's happening and go back and forth when I feel like I'm ready to change sides. So just taking your leg out to the side. Working the outer leg. And then you want to keep the breath going. Noticing when you're holding. And then just breathing. Trying to find what feels like it's a little bit of effort and a little bit of relaxation at the same time. So that may mean you're going to slow it down. And do side to side. And then we're going to do a little more marching here. So again, maybe you're going to do arms up or at some height. If you want to get tricky, you can start to do bicep curls with it. This is not my normal yoga routine, is it? It's good to change things up. So again, if you have your little weights, you can do weights. Then again, just make sure you're not losing your balance. You can stay on one side if you like. You can change legs. And you're going to try to come up overhead. So again, for me, coordination is not my strength. And really the breath. So since it's yoga, I want to make sure we're breathing, paying attention to what we're feeling. And then we're just going to do arms out to the sides a few times. So just like we did the legs, we're just going to take the arms out. Breathing. And then we're going to try to take a foot behind us. So nice little donkey kick, right? Trying to take the sole of your foot out behind you. And still the breath. So it can be a couple of kicks on each side. Maybe you have weights in your hands, maybe you don't. You can go back and forth. Especially in shoes. Not as good at balancing. I'm not very good at balancing anyway, but especially in shoes. We're going to do arms up. Kick out. Or maybe it's going to be elbows down. There we go. Now we're going to engage the upper back. No. Coordination left there. Trying to do arms and legs at the same time. Okay. All right, and then we're going to give a little shake. And we're going to try to sit into a chair pose. So again, you can hang on to your chair here. And we're going to start to push the hips back and the knees back. So I find leaning forward often helps me take my knees back a little bit more. So if your knees are too far forward and you're feeling a lot of stress in your knees, try leaning a little farther forward. So you can put a little more weight on your heels, your knees can come back farther. And then, I'm not feeling like I'm gonna do arms up today. So you can do hands at your heart here, or you can try to do arms up, breathing. You can also do arms out behind you. So if you want to do a little tricep, all right, let's straighten legs up, take a breath. So you can come back into a chair pose, and then you can do some triceps here. Again, with or without weights. Breathing. And then we're going to come back up. Take a breath. We're going to do a forward fold. You can use your chair. So you can use the back of the chair. You can use the seat of the chair. If you don't need the chair, you can just do a regular forward fold. If you're using the chair, again, make sure it's not sliding out from under you. Fold forward. Try to let your hands come down between your arms. Breathe. So I like having my hands on something to really flatten them back. It's a different sensation than just coming into a forward fold without a prop. Then we're going to walk it back up. Inhale, arms up overhead. Nice full breath. And let's see if we can take it into a dancer pose. So again, if your chair has wheels, make sure you're holding on. Maybe even hold on to the wall if you need a little bit of support. We're going to try to take it into a dancer pose, reaching for one foot. And then if you're steady, the opposite arm comes forward. If you're able to reach that foot with both hands, and stay upright. No, not happening. I was trying to get the foot and pull backward a little bit, but I can't keep my balance there enough today. All right, there we go. Try to push back, shoulders pulling back. And you can even hang on to the foot with the opposite arm. And then we're gonna let go. Take a breath. And changing sides. So bring your opposite foot up. And then what's happening on this side? Such a good stretch in the middle of the day, if you can get to that foot. We're gonna let go. Woo. All right, I need to recenter here. Okay, level on your feet. Arms reach up. We're gonna come back into a chair pose. So again, if you have your weights, I should have said this first. You can come back into triceps. Then we're gonna straighten up. Take a breath. And back into a forward fold. So wherever you're going with your forward fold, and then we're going to come back up. Take another breath. All right, and then let's just try to do a little swinging motion here. So with or without your weights, you're going to stand up. We're just going to swing a little bit. Just like we did when we were kids. Swinging from side to side. Very gently. Breathing. And then we're going to sit back down in the chair. All right, so if you have a Pilates ball, just taking a moment to put that behind your back. And maybe just hang out on it. Roll a little bit from side to side. I tend to start on my upper back and then let it kind of lean forward, let it drop down to the lower back. And again, just rock a little bit from side to side. So you can keep that going if you have it. start to settle in for a little bit of meditation. So if you're comfortable with the ball, again, if you have one, that feels nice on your back, you can just kind of lean into it. Let your back relax. Into that ball. Otherwise, just however you're feeling comfortable. All right, I think I'm gonna kick my shoes off here. Starting to slow it down again. Maybe just noticing what has changed, how you're feeling in this moment. Any way that you're comfortable, maybe you're gonna lie down at this point. Looking again for what's tense. And can you let those muscles soften? So some of that may mean that you need to rearrange how you're positioned. So maybe you need to bring the arms up a little bit higher on your chair, put a pillow under your arm. Trying to find that spot where the body is just a little more comfortable so that those muscles can let go a little bit more. Observing the sensations of the breath. Or where you can soften a little more. So you're just peeling away layers of stress, tension. Just continuing to look for where is there another little subtle spot that's able to relax a little bit. Simply start to count the breath. In any way you choose, counting just inhales, counting just exhales, or maybe you're counting both. Consciously relaxing. So there may still be many thoughts in your mind. Maybe you can observe those thoughts. So we're not trying to empty the mind. We're working on consciously relaxing. To see if you can observe your thoughts. Count your breath. And observe where there's tension. And work on letting that tension release out. So if that means a little bit of movement, let there be a little bit of movement. And then see if you can settle back in again to stillness. Where's your favorite place to sit and relax? Notice what comes to mind. And picture yourself in that place, in that favorite place, or make one up. You could be sitting on the deck of a cruise ship. You could be on a bench in the park. Just imagine someplace that's peaceful and relaxing for you. Try to feel that you're there in that place. Resting. Even if you're imagining your eyes closed in that place, you can still visualize what's around you. Just imagine yourself as part of that place. That you're deeply connected to that relaxing place. Simply counting the breath, softening any tension, visualizing yourself in a peaceful place. Take note of how you are in this moment. Feel the weight of your body on the chair or whatever you're resting on. And be aware of where you are. Let your breath be a little bit deeper. Maybe begin to move your fingers, your toes. Gently open your eyes if they're closed. And we're just going to bring hands to the heart. Nice full inhale. Exhale it out. Thank you for sharing in this practice today. Namaste.